Siamo live? We're live? Yeah, siamo live.
We're live. Everybody's starting to join. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. How are you? Write in the comments, guys.
Where are you joining us from?
Yeah, where are you from?
In the meantime, as everybody joins and maybe tells us where they're following us from, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the call. So, hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this Salon de la Musique community call. My name is Nicholas Stark. Your hosts today are Antonia Comito, Francesco Comito, and Anna Bulkina.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
This week, we will talk to you about entrepreneurship in classical music. For centuries, the mindset of musicians has been programmed in a way that has prevented them from engaging in win-win opportunities within the business world. This must end now. To this end, we will read an extract from a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and discuss some of the ideas it contains. Anna, if you wish to get us started.
Yeah. So, hello, everyone. Yeah, I would like to begin with a little bit, like throwback observation of our art history. So we, as artists, not only musicians, but I am like talking about also painters, dancers, sculptors, architects. Somehow, throughout the centuries, we were left. I don't want to say we were left out, but we were kind of forming a sort of community that was always there to entertain, to work for somebody. If we are talking, for example, about musicians, let's start with our beloved Johann Sebastian Bach. He was a forever employee. If you read his bio, it's like he was constantly searching for a job position. He was applying, and it's like never-ending story. Mozart, Beethoven, Haydn, like who was 30 years serving for the family Esterhazy, and Mozart was always, searching for a good publisher who would publish something, and so he would receive some revenue from that. Beethoven was a little bit more rebel, but even him, he had to, rely on sponsorship and some, patronship and stuff like that. The guy who was a contemporary to Mozart, the Italian composer Muto Clementi, he was a little bit, he picked up a different road. Besides being composer and the keyboardist and the very accomplished teacher, he also had his own store of, like a dealership. He was selling keyboard instruments. So he was making a fortune, not from, most of his fortune came not from teaching and composing, so publishing his work, but from that business. Also, if we're talking about like painters, Salvador Dali was like one of my favorite businessmen. This guy was like brilliant.
There's a phenomenon.
Yeah, apart from just creating that scandalous works of art, on purpose, just to make people, talk about him.
Clickbait painting.
Yeah, he would just create like 20 copies of one work and like, okay, guys, who pays more? Yeah. Or, for example, Albrecht Dürer, he was the first who invented actually the, lithography. So he would just create one picture and then make like various copies of it, and that made a revolution in the industry. So as you can see, those people thought in a different way. Those people rejected being just employee and just follow accept the pay that that the employer would give them, or the patron or the count or the king or whoever like was at the power. With that being said, we would like to draw your attention to one book that most of you, of course, have heard about or even read, of the Robert Kiyosaki Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I can tell you that among my friends, when I talk about this book, some people would tell me, "Oh yeah, I read that book, but it's not for musicians. The musicians are, we are different. This book is, for those who, are into the real estate business. This book is just, it's not at any use for the musicians." We would like to, maybe convince you in the opposite. So for those who don't, who never read that book, I'll just, briefly outline the beginning and the first few thoughts and ideas. So it started that Robert Kiyosaki introduces the concept of two dads. So I had two fathers, a rich one and a poor one. One was highly educated and intelligent. He had a PhD and completed 4 years of undergraduate work in less than 2 years. He then went on to Stanford University, the University of Chicago, and Northwestern University to do his advanced studies, all on full financial scholarships. The other father never finished the 8th grade. Okay, so you can see that there are two different people. So both were starting out on their careers and both were struggling with money and families, but they had very different points of view about money. I don't know if you could guess, but the father who graduated from Stanford University was considered by Robert Kiyosaki as a poor dad. And the one who was from have never finished even 8th grade was a rich one.
Just a second, there is what Robert Kiyosaki himself says for PhD father: poor, helpless, and desperate.
Abbreviation, poor, helpless, and desperate. Yeah. Okay, so the story begins Robert Kiyosaki and a son of the rich dad called Mike. They were friends, schoolmates. And it happened that all of a sudden they started to wonder, how can we, get money? How can we make money? And so with this question, Robert Kiyosaki addressed both to his own father, and after he didn't receive a satisfying answer, he addressed to Mike's father, to the rich dad. So what the rich dad said, okay, I'm not going to teach you in a normal way. I'm going to show you something, to give you a different type of lesson. So he put them in a store, one of his stores, and paid them for a weekend, and pay them hourly 10 cents per hour. So 10 cents, even in 56, it was not much for an hour of work. And so after 3 weeks of working 3 hours a week and earning only 30 cents, Robert finally said, okay, that's enough. First of all, we're not learning anything. Second of all, he's just, he's a liar. He's using us. So he said to Mike, okay, I'm quitting. And Mike told him, okay, my father knew that you are going to say that. So he said, as soon as Robert will be ready to quit, send him over to me. So young Robert came to the office of Rich Dad, and he made him wait in a line. So finally, when his turn came, he was ready to blame and ready to say it's your fault. You made me work for nothing. You were you're a liar. You just used me.
There is also to say that the father, the poor dad, said to his son, yes, it's right. You should ask more. You should ask more money and go and complain.
So for which rich dad said, well, you are sounding like most of my employee. You are blaming me in your problems. The fact that you are earning what you are earning, it's your problem. It's not my problem. And it's your fault, not my fault. And of course, 9 years old, he was saying, no, it's not my fault. You are paying me this little amount of money. And plus, I agreed for that work because you promised me to teach me something and you didn't. So now I'm going to read you a little bit. So, well, you never talked to me. I've worked for 3 weeks and you have not taught me anything. Does teaching mean talking or a lecture? Rich Dad asked. Well, yes, I replied. That's how they teach you in school, he said, smiling. But that is not how life teaches you. And I would say that life is the best teacher of all. Most of time, life does not talk to you. It just sort of pushes you around. Each push is a life saying, wake up. There is something I want you to learn. So Robert was confused and the Rich Dad continued. If you learn life's lessons, you will do well. If not, life will just continue to push you around. People do 2 things. Some just let life push them around. Others get angry and push back. But they push back against their boss or their job or their husband or wife. They do not know it's life that is pushing. Life pushes all of us around. Some people give up and others fight. If you learn the lesson and move on, they welcome life pushing them around. To these few people, it means they need and want to learn something. They learn and move on. Most quit, and a few, like you, fight. So if you learn this lesson, you will grow into a wise, wealthy, and happy young man. If you don't, you will spend your life blaming a job, low pay, or your boss for your problems. You will live life always hoping for that big break that will solve all your money problems. So now I want Francesco to say something about his post yesterday on Facebook.
Okay, yesterday or 2 days ago, I don't remember, I wrote something on Facebook saying that if classical music will disappear, it's going to be only musicians' fault. And I received some comment that says that no, it's not musicians' fault. The fault is of those sponsors or governments or institutions. They don't support, they don't give money to us. I don't agree with that. This kind of mentality has to stop. This mentality is not sustainable anymore nowadays, especially in a digital era. It's not sustainable. What we need is not support, it's not money support. What we need especially organizers, for example, organizers, they say, we don't receive support, so we cannot hire musicians, so we cannot pay jury members, we cannot organize competitions, blah, 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 blah. And so we are desperate. The problem is we don't need support. We need the investors. Investors is a different thing. To attract investors, you need new ideas. You need new public. We need entrepreneurs. We need musicians entrepreneurs. Is something new, isn't it? Musicians entrepreneurs. We need visionaries. We need dreamers. You say, we are talking about dreams. No, just a second. Dreamers that put their dreams into a system become millionaires. So this is what classical music needs, not elemosina. How to say, Mikael, can you help me? How to say elemosina?
Not charity.
Exactly, not charity, exactly. We don't need charity. We need entrepreneurs. So we need to stop thinking in this way. That's it.
Yeah, well, we are not like trying to blame musicians. We are musicians. So
Exactly.
We know how we grew up. We know which mindset we grew up. And it's no wonder, because we had, like, again, the history, the centuries of that mindset was formated. So it's all understandable. But the problem is now to recognize that disease and try to heal from it, because, like, we cannot longer allow ourselves to hope and to wait and to blame somebody for not having something. It's a time to say, okay, nobody owes me anything. I have brain. I am smart enough. Like musicians are extremely smart, and they are multitasked, workers. They can do many things, and they can learn quickly. So we have advantages, before like many other, professions, and we have to use it wisely. That's the point. And so
sorry, can I interrupt? I'm sorry. I would like to make another small example. During the Black Friday, I found an amazing camera that I wanted to buy. And this camera, the cost of this camera before the Black Friday was $1,600. In this book, the rich dad forbids to his children to say, I can't afford it. Because if you say, I can't afford it, something dies in your brain. So consider that I don't want to say I can't afford it. I did something else. I do another example. I was talking with some friends about the importance of recording ourselves as a musician nowadays. So, but no, we need. Why do I need to purchase a camera if I only use it to record myself for auditions once in a year? Say, are you kidding me? You should record yourself every day. Nowadays, we are in a digital era. You need to make videos every day. And you tell me you don't need to buy a camera, but it's too expensive. And I asked to them, do you think that I spend even 1 cent to buy this camera that I bought in the Black Friday? And how did you pay? You paid it for me because I'm recording you.
And you are paying me for
and
that.
You are paying me, and I just repaid the camera that I bought for $800 during the Black Friday. So do you see what has to change in our mind? Musicians, they should stop to live like horses, like with
blinders on.
Exactly.
But it's like a pink big elephant in the room, because it's something that musicians know. I remember one experience. I met a manager of a very important agency of classical music agency. She told me that there are so many wonderful musicians. The problem is that there is lack of good ideas. This is the problem. And good ideas with a business system, a business model. Guys, who knows how to create a business plan, how to create a business model, how to make profit from your ideas? For us, we were also hardwired like this because we are also musicians. Maybe we came from a family of entrepreneurs, then it was easy for us to understand and to absorb these two different mentalities. My father showed a business plan to us when we have, 15 years old.
Yeah.
But, you can combine art with business. You can combine art with profit. It's not something, how can we say, it's not something dirty.
Absolutely.
These two things are not mutually exclusive. A musician can be and should, in fact, be an entrepreneur. Today. Especially in this modern creator economy.
Also, can I add something to what Antonia was saying? She said there are lack of ideas. I received also another comment in that post that says there is not so much money involved it's a too small world, classical music. Just a second. So there is not so much money involved. So we are saying that there is not enough money in this business. So how can we say that when money is printed every day, trillions of dollars every second, they print fake money? So you tell me there is no money. The problem is not that there is no money. The problem is there are not valid projects. If you have a valid project, there are investors that they wake up every morning praying to find some guy with a good idea to invest their money and make their money work for them, instead of working for somebody else. So they are looking for you. For you, they are looking like bread and water.
And this is what we are doing. You cannot stay all your life in your four walls practicing. You have to understand the future. You have to understand what will be the direction, and be a visionary, be a pioneer, and creating a project. This is what we are doing, and we are putting all our effort here in SM, and there will be many surprises. But we want to share also our personal experience, how we grow during this year, and we are so lucky to have all of you guys as our community, to share our thoughts, etc.
Speaking of having to stay in one's four walls, Antonia, I think that maybe you have an anecdote that you could share where you were told to essentially stay in your lane, stay inside your four walls.
Exactly. In my experience, I came across...
I know what you're talking about. Okay.
A guy, let's say like this.
A man.
Old man. I believed him so much, really. Like, he was like I don't know. Don't say too much. Okay. Antonia, your job is just playing your instrument. You don't have to think about business. You don't have to think about private life. You have to stay there and practice, because this is the fate of musician. Guys, I believed him for many years.
Imagine what happened in schools, in academies, universities. What happened every day to poor kids. They are raised with this mindset.
I was 13, 14, 15 years old.
Me too. We are sisters.
I know. Listening all this bullshit, And during your life, it's like you are convincing yourself, okay, then I have to give up with business. I have to give up to private life. I have just to focus on practicing.
Don't get married.
I don't get married. I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous. Okay.
No, usually they say this. Oh yeah, the musicians, like the concert musician career is not for women, because women, they we don't want the teachers, especially male teachers. They say, oh, we don't like female students because they get married, they have children, they have family, so they don't practice. Oh, men, they don't have those problems. Even they get married, they will just give up all their family and kids, because wife will take care of them, and they will just
I
embark to the tour.
Yesterday, first lesson, and about it. It's not important. Yeah, you are playing wonderfully, but why it's not worth it? Because you are a woman, you will get married, you will get children, and then what is the sense? No, girl, you don't have to thinking about business. You don't have to think about private life. You have to stay in that label. You have to repeat the same rat race, as we said. Like, okay, asking for concert. This is insane. Asking for concerts, asking for, looking for competitions like I don't know. It's like a schizophrenia, no?
No, it's
it's a mindset. It's a mindset that somebody has to offer something to you. Otherwise, like, you cannot create anything by yourself, because you are very narrow. Like your field of expertise is very narrow. So you would you are not expert in business and organizing things and nothing. It's just like you need somebody's assistance, and that is the clue here.
But the problem, I want on purpose to sound like, I don't know, material. But, okay, think about the first prize of a big competition.
Just here we have a comment that we cannot see who is, but I think
You
it's
have to have
Lovre.
money to have
Children.
It's Lovre that is writing.
Don't worry, I have money, and for the moment I don't have, the right person to have children. Then I don't want in this moment to have, children. But money doesn't
Peter
matter
says
here in SM.
if Peter
There
says
is
if
no
you
lack
are
of money.
talented, they
There
try to
is no-
squash you.
Just a second. We just said that there is no lack of money. If you think, just a second, imagine that all the gold will be taken from all the mountain. The men will find.
Francesco,
Yeah.
few years ago,
Yeah.
did you imagine that we could create something like SM?
Absolutely not. But I knew that something was wrong in the system, so we had to do something. That's the problem. The point.
Is there something specific that woke you up to this reality? Was there a catalyst or an epiphany of some sort?
Actually, if you think about, for example, Matrix, the movie Matrix, this is an example. Neo knew that there was something wrong. Only he had this feeling. Let me take another example. For example, Elon Musk said, I started my company because nobody wanted to hire me. Nobody gave me a job. Elon Musk, can you imagine? So there are many things, that brought me here. But I wanted to say something about the lack of money. You say there is no money. Imagine if the entire gold will be taken from the mountains, okay? The man will find something else. Richness is correct in English, Michael.
Wealth.
Wealth is something that God created for life. If there is not abundance, if there is no something that helps the life to grow, there is death. So there is money for everybody in this world. The problem is there are people with a stone heart. This is the problem. And also there is lack of education. So money is everywhere.
So speaking about lack of education, as a musicians, and as you can see in this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. So continue the conversation between Robert and the Rich Dad, and that morning. So he is saying that you boys are the first people who have ever asked me to teach them how to make money. I have more than 150 employees, and not even one of them has asked me what I know about money. They ask me for a job and a paycheck, but never to teach them about money. So most will spend the best years of their lives working for money, not really understanding what it is they are working for.
Also, bells are sounding.
What?
Also, can you hear it? Also, bells are sounding.
Yeah. So the first lesson of this book, The Rich Dad Poor Dad, the poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. So that is the first and the most important lesson that we wanted to, articulate today in this session. And we will continue, bringing out more like interesting topics from this book. But I just wanted to finish out with the term that Antonia just mentioned. Because for some of you who don't know, the rat race. So it's the concept was articulated in this book, and we like to use it. And if you go to Francesco's page, there were like a lot of paintings of his about mouse or
And
the
pianos.
rat and the piano. So
In a
that
cage.
so that is the concept. So most people have a price, and they have a price because of human emotions named fear and greed. First, the fear of being without money motivates us to work hard. And then once we get that paycheck, greed or desire starts us thinking about all the wonderful things money can buy. The pattern is then set. The pattern of get up, go to work, pay bills. And then again, get up, go to work, pay bills. People's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. Offer them more money, and they continue the cycle by increasing the spending. This is what I call the rat race. So, and then his son asked him, it's like, is there another way? Yes, but only a few people can find it. And what is that way? That is what I hope you boys will learn as you work and study with me. That is why I took away all forms of pay. Any hints? We are kind of tired of working hard, especially for nothing. Well, the first step is telling the truth. We haven't been lying. I didn't say you were lying. I said to tell the truth. The truth about what? How you're feeling. You don't have to say it to anyone else. Just admit it to yourself. You mean the people in this park, the people who work for you, Mrs. Martin, they don't do that? I doubt it. Instead, they feel the fear of not having money. They don't confront it logically. They react emotionally instead of using their heads. Then they get a few bucks in their hands, and again, the emotions of joy, desire, and greed take over, and again, they react instead of think. So that's the first thing we wanted to verbalize, that it's not true that musicians are not adapted to be entrepreneurs. It's not true that musicians cannot be businessmen or run their businesses or found their businesses. It's not true that musicians cannot it's not even earn money to create money like from the air. They can, because we have imagination, we have fantasy, we can use our brain. We don't have to be to have a special education to do that. I mean, maybe education, like a very, very simple concepts about like how to do things, but it is very, very doable for everyone, even for like sixth grade people, like kids. It's very simple, especially in the beginning, when you just how I read somewhere, like the instruction for the beginners. Begin. Just do
learn
something.
By doing it.
Yeah, learn by doing it. Start it. Like ask questions.
Make mistakes.
Search for like mind. How you say it? People that have the same mindset with you. Try to talk around. Ask questions. Don't just be afraid of what people will think about me.
And can I say one thing? Sorry for interrupting you, Anna. This is, I think, crucial. Don't surround yourself just with musicians.
Exactly.
Surround yourself with different people from different businesses. Find inspirations. Look for different inputs.
I'm sure many listeners will be familiar with the sort of rule that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And so look to make this group as diverse as possible so that you might absorb all of these different ideas and you might be influenced by them in a positive way.
Can I add something to what Antonia just said? I was talking with one of my dearest friends, And about this thing, we were recording something for a competition, and they say, I hate competition. So what do you go? Because so I can get famous. But just a second. We know that is a kind of lottery, right? Competition, they exist to give you the possibility to showcase your talent, to play for everybody. But now that there is internet, why do you go? Considering that there are so many competition and politics is involved. This student, I like it. This teacher, this other teacher. It's one person wins. That is not the first prize, but is the business owner. So I will make my own business. My friend say, which is your business? I want to make my own competition.
Gosh, this is true.
No, it's true. Is one of my dearest friend. But anyway, this is really important. It's really important to think about it. I will make my own competition. So staying always with musicians, you are always in the same, I'd say, mental cage. Yeah. So instead of thinking, how can I work with new technologies? How can I take inspiration from the past and bring the past to the future to escape from this mud that we created? We musicians, Musicians, they didn't have other choices than create their own business, squeezing the poor students when they are kids until they are they are too old to participate. So they also create their own competition. They create their own masterclass series.
And they create competition for amateurs. They create competition for old people. They create competition for kids. Guys, do you
know even for dogs?
Function of the business. This is not about talent. This is not about music. This is not about art. This is a different line product of a business.
It's just a second. And even if you create your own competition, what's going to happen when the public that goes into your and attend your concert will be dead in a few years, considering that the public is getting
aging.
older and older, and you are not creating new public
attracting a younger audience with
younger audience, with technology, talking their language.
And not only young people like from the music field or the art field, but from everywhere.
You will need sponsors, because if you cannot make money because there is no public anymore that pays the tickets, you will need sponsors.
But instead of, hoping that sponsors will come to you or going and ask them, please give me some money because, we need help. You have to, think differently. Like, what is a win-to-win strategy? Like, nobody wants to give you money just because you have beautiful eyes. People want to earn money. And if you give them the possibility to earn money with you, they give you any amount of money. The money is not the problem. There are people in companies that are able to give you like millions and millions of dollars. It's not the problem. The problem is how much you make them to earn. So put your time, invest your time into thinking like, what kind of idea I can come up with.
Yeah. I would like to say something to
speaking of sponsors. This video, this broadcast is sponsored by Hotel Ipumea.
Here we are back. I would like to say something to my friends that we already talked about this topic. Blah blah blah. We were having dinner together, talking so many hours, but you still go to competitions. Why? Why you still go? It's a kind of drug. Now I want to say in Italian, perché continuate ad andare a questi concorsi? Anche se abbiamo parlato e avete capito, perché ho letto nei vostri occhi, I saw in your eyes that you understood the problem, but you still go. Perché?
It's a process.
Why?
Can I add?
It's a process. It's difficult to make changes immediately, but what matters is to add the seeds that will in the future grow into a beautiful oak tree.
Can I add?
The funny question, the funny thing is that they still go and they still don't win. So you don't learn the lesson. Okay, sorry.
Can I add just one thing? It's not about win or not winning. The problem is that think about the first prize, as I said before, the first prize of a very famous big competition is just 30K. Nothing. If you think about a seed investment in a business field, we are talking about $200,000. This is the minimum. Study business management. Guys, do you know we are talking about sponsors and investors, but do you know the difference? Do you know what is an angel investor? What is venture capitalism? Why we can maybe here at Salon we can focus on something like that, no? What do you think?
I of course I agree, but the thing is that before we start, our friends, they should start to question what they've been taught. If they don't start to question what they've been taught, there is nothing we can do. We will start to talk. We don't want to convince anybody. What we want is to say what we have to say. If you want to listen, okay. If you don't, keep playing your competitions until you are 60. And after, que sarà, sarà. Who knows?
No, but I think the majority of musicians, they hope to get like a teaching position, teaching job, which, will kind of, make sure that secure their stable income. Then they would have family, kids, and then the rat race will, continue.
And also there is your
pass to generations.
And also there is your main business partner, that is the government that takes the taxes from you.
Exactly.
Your best friend that takes 50-70% of taxes, no matter what. He always knock to the door and say, give me my taxes, my money. And you work more. So what is the solution to that? Working more. So more you work, more taxes you have to pay. So what? So do we do?
Maybe they don't know the benefit of having a company in this sense. Maybe they don't know.
It's the weapon of rich people. Tax advantages.
Is this something that is talked about in Rich Dad Poor Dad as well? The fiscal benefits of having a company.
Yes, of course.
They are talking actually here during the conversation, the first conversation. They said, "Well, how did you feel waiting in the line to see me once you get hired and wants to ask for more money?" "Terrible," I said. "If you choose to work for money, it is what life will be like," said Rich Dad. "And how did you feel when Mrs. Martin dropped 3 dimes in your hand for 3 hours of work?" "I felt like it was not enough. It seemed like nothing. I was disappointed," I said. And that is how most employees feel when they look at their paychecks, especially after all the tax and other deductions are taken out. At least you got 100%. I mean, talking that he got his three dimes, but it was 100%. So he didn't reduce any taxes from that. You mean most workers don't get paid everything? I asked with amazement. Heavens no, said Rich Dad. The government always takes its share first. How do they do that? I asked. Taxes, said Rich Dad. You are taxed when you earn. You are taxed when you spend. You are taxed when you save. You are taxed when you die. Okay.
Even when you die, you are taxed.
And the question is, why do people let the government do that to them? The rich don't, said Rich Dad with a smile. The poor and the middle class do. I will bet you that I earn more than your dad, yet he pays more in taxes.
So, guys, you understand that there is something wrong. There is something wrong. The first thing that we have to do is to question what we've been taught. If we don't do this, go and there is the football match, the NBA, the TV. Go, take your beer, sit on the couch, and watch the TV.
But one second, I have to. I feel it. I feel this. Sorry. And learn can be tough, can be really tough. I know, because we did it, and it's not easy when you were hardwired all your life during your childhood. It's tough. I can understand. I feel it, but it's time to move.
No, absolutely.
It's time to create value. It's time to use
to create value. What you say, it's fantastic. It's time to create value. And ask yourself, when do you practice at home your music, your Chopin valse, your Liszt Mephisto valse, whatever you want? Am I creating value? My music is an asset. Is my music making other people make money? Yes or not? You cannot say only my music is beautiful. I play differently, so maybe somebody has to listen to me. They must listen to me because I play differently. Doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing, like you said earlier, Francesco, is to have an open mind, because all the information in the world is going to serve no purpose if you do not approach the conversation with an open mind.
Exactly. You always be in a search for new teachers, and new teachers are not only persons but books. Every day read another book. There are people, they never read one entire book in their life. Take a book and read every day. Don't stop. Wake up in the morning. Instead of wasting time, read. Listen to audiobooks. Audiobooks are fantastic. When you are driving, you go to work, you're in a subway, take an audiobook and listen. Absorb information, ask questions, cooperate. This is the key. Cooperation, no competitions. Cooperation is the key. Cooperation with other people. Ask, make mistakes, learn from mistakes. If you are always afraid, so fear and greedy, if you are always afraid, you don't make mistakes, so you stay always in the same place. You don't learn anything.
I want to say just one quote that I think it's very meaningful. This quote can make the difference because it's by a very famous musician. So he's from Maria Joao Pires, who said, if you are not making mistakes, this means that you are not moving.
Yeah, errors.
True.
We have to make errors and learn from them. Without doing, we cannot learn anything.
And especially because, like you said, Anna, like the book Rich Dad Poor Dad says, in life lessons are not taught in lectures, but they are taught in an almost messy, roundabout process, and we have to keep our eyes open and keep our mindset open so that we may learn these lessons.
Exactly.
As we have these experiences.
Exactly, and also ask yourself why the subject money is not taught in school when you have to deal with money your entire life. You always have a money problem, financial problem do your entire life, and they don't teach you anything about money. Why they do, in university, in all kind of university, they teach you, I'm talking about especially music universities, they teach you all kind of subject, analysis, history, everything good, okay, but they don't teach you how to promote yourself, how to make of what you learn a profession, how to sell your music. You say, okay, sales people, they are dishonest persons, or blah blah blah. Come si dice, Michael, c'è uno stereotipo. There is
There's a stereotype that surrounds salespeople.
Exactly.
Although I would like to, I think the stereotype doesn't need to be a salesperson doesn't necessarily have to be somebody sleazy, right? They can be promoting a product that is very high quality and that is in the interest of the consumer.
Exactly, but if you think about, we are selling all the time, every day. Even when you have your kids, you have to convince them to eat broccoli or to eat, I don't know, burger from McDonald's. You are selling an idea. You are selling a project. You are selling your dream. If you have to find partners or friends to cooperate with, you have to sell them as dream. You have to convince them. You have to learn how to persuade. If you don't learn these things because they don't teach you at school, take a book. School, we don't need books. We don't need schools anymore. I mean, we don't need teachers. You can learn everything by yourself. You can learn everything by yourself. Go and be curious. The massive, let's say, a weapon of mass destruction is the lack of curiosity. This is the not atomic bomb. Lack of curiosity is the massive, say, mass destruction weapon.
Absolutely, I think curiosity is one of those things that the school system is almost frighteningly efficient at eliminating from the students who attend it. We mentioned since we're talking about books, I think one we can mention is a book by Chris Voss, where he talks about negotiation. The title of the book is Never Split the Difference. Check it out alongside Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But everyone...
Another book, there is another book really interesting that the title is fantastic, by Grant Cardone, that says, Sell or Be Sold. I said everything. Sell or be sold.
Fantastic. Very well. I want to thank everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode, sponsored by the Hotel Puma Club. We look forward to seeing you in the next Salon de la Musique live community call.